I just saw that Hiko Simon video last night. That thing was awesome. Pissed I didn't get anything to him to put in it. I suck. Sorry about the ads. Oh no, Hiko Simon put out a really cool video, Kampai video, but unfortunately I was not in it. A what do you call it? A compilation? Not a compilation video. What the hell? What the hell is it called? Ah, my English. My English. Uh, compilation? No. Um, there's a word for it. A video where a bunch of people work together to make a video. I am in my home station of Ikebukuro. A collaboration video, yeah, a collab video. He did a really great collab video. Um, I'm in Ikebukuro right now, and as for I'm just pushing up a lot. I think if all goes according to plan, uh, I will be spending my Friday night at home editing video tonight. Um, I almost had to work yesterday. I almost had to work tomorrow night, but I was just like, no, no, I'll see you Monday. So unless an emergency happens between now and 7 p.m., I can go home and edit the footage I've had on my computer since August. Literally, since August. Yeah, I totally jinxed myself now. It seems anytime I promise people I'm going to do it, I then don't. Um, but no, this time I am. I have to. I have to. It's been way too long. I'm getting pissed off at myself. I'm going to forget how to edit. So look out for it. Actually, I just ran into the French guy yesterday randomly. I was walking into the studio, like the building, and he caught me in a hallway, cornered me. He was gone for like 2 weeks in France. But actually, he's working in a different department now, so I don't work with him anymore. But um, we've been putting together a proposal for a TV show idea. I kind of like in my spare time, I've been working with him on that. Also, he wants to start doing stand-up comedy, and he wants me to train him in stand-up comedy, which is not high on my list of things to do. Exactly, Andy-san. I'm almost definitely not going to put up a video tonight. I mean, even if I don't edit it, like later this evening, I definitely won't be able to post it until the next morning, because it takes a long time for my computer to not process the video. I'm eating a lovely bean and pumpkin potato salad, autumn vegetable salad. Yum. Iced tea and a lovely sandwich. Ooh. It's passable at best, but a man's got to eat. It's like a I don't know, bean salad. It's like red beans, potatoes, roasted carrots, roasted pumpkin, garban chickpeas, and I think these are soybeans. Bizarre. And it's in this kind of weird tomato pasty kind of sauce. I don't ask questions anymore. I just put it in my mouth. I think that's the rule. Shut up and put it in your mouth. I like that rule. It's just very widely applicable. Quit whining and stick it in your mouth. I mean, that's like seriously. When you're in Japan, um, I mean, you either leave or go nuts within a year or two if you constantly freak out about like, what is this? What's in this thing? I mean, what's this made out of? You know, because like every time you go out to dinner, you usually get this like little. Right, in a lot of restaurants, you get like a little free like snack at the beginning of your meal, which is kind of like a table charge. And so many times I've been like, the first year I was like looking at it mysteriously, trying to figure it out. But then at some point, you're just like, oh, fuck this, and you just eat it, and you stop asking why or what. You just, uh, you know, it's food. You're probably not going to die unless you've got like a peanut allergy. You pretty much just eat whatever gets put in front of you. But I mean, in the first year, I was always curious to know what exactly it was I was eating. But now I'm kind of over it. It's just, yeah, it's food. Made from whale and narwhal teals. Exactly. Favorite Japanese food? The most delicious Japanese food, which I actually just had last night at home, um, is, and it's being very specific, uh, fried asparagus wrapped in bacon. I've never had it anywhere else, but I've had it here many, 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 many times. It's just like a piece of asparagus wrapped in pork and then grilled. It's awesome. Um, but most generally, I don't like eat. That's not a real meal, actually. Although I used to go to like izakayas that sell them and just ask for like 20 of those and a beer, and that would be my dinner. Fortunately, I'm slightly better in my nutritional balance nowadays than I was when I was like 23. Um, anyway, most often I eat soba. I eat a lot of soba noodles. It's kind of redundant. It's like saying ATM machine. Soba means noodles, but for some reason I want to say soba noodles, but it's just soba is noodles. Soba is incredibly cheap, which is one of the main reasons I love it, and fast. So I can eat a bowl of soba in like 3 minutes, making the entire process of ordering, receiving, eating down to 5 minutes in a train station while standing. Um, and often it costs like 300 yen, around 300 yen is the average, like for cheap, like standing soba. The NHK cafeteria, the soba is 190 yen, which is like as bargain basement as food can get. So that's like, I don't know, like $2 basically for lunch. Well, 190 yen is the cheapest I've ever seen. And then like in outside of like a corporation like lunch cafeteria, it's usually like 300 yen, like $3 for. I mean, sometimes in cheaper ones like two something. But I mean, I always get hungry within about 2 hours of having eaten soba because it's just carbohydrates, so your body, you know, processes it very quickly. It's like Chinese food. They always say, you're hungry again in half an hour. And I feel the same way with soba. It's totally not filling. Yes, monme, if you say soba, you mean noodles. The word literally means noodles. But specifically, buckwheat noodles. But the word can also be used to refer to other kinds of noodles. So, like yakisoba, for example. Yakisoba is made from ramen noodles. Technically, it's made from fried Chinese noodles. Yakisoba is like fried noodles, but that soba is a totally different kind of noodle. But still, the word soba is used, but it has no connection to soba, like the buckwheat brown noodles. I like soba better. But the word soba is also get out of my band. The word soba is also used as a generic term for noodles. Like in soba, like just plain soba with like just some dipping broth or in a hot bowl of soup is fine. Udon, however, does not have any real flavor, so I kind of like can't eat it plain. But there's a number of different incarnations of udon that are awesome. And udon is more difficult to eat, like chopsticks wise. But nabeyaki udon or curry udon, um, there's a number of other udon like preparation methods that are awesome. But if it's just udon, it sucks in my opinion. But if it's like udon in like curry soup, that's awesome. Or udon in like a nabe, that's awesome. Like kind of thick stew. It's also because it has some other flavor. But just udon, I am not so hot on. 11 colors. What's your take? Which reigns supreme, soba or udon? Or well, I mean, ramen obviously is better than both because it's the least healthy. And I think if it's choppy, it's because I'm no longer on the Wi-Fi. I'm on like a cell network, e-mobile piece of shit. Yeah, so about. Mm. My favorite thing is, and this is awesome. In Shikoku, there's an area of Shikoku who's very famous for udon, specific kind of udon called saniki udon. And saniki udon is, well, it's just udon. It's really no different from any other udon ever anywhere in the world. But the people in that area insist that it's their local specialty, and so it's different. But it's actually technically not different in any way, shape, or form from normal everyday other udon. The ingredients are the same. But everybody from Shikoku I've ever met is just endlessly, retardedly irritating about how udon is awesome in Shikoku. But as a point of like statistical fact, um, like 80% of the flour used in the noodles uh, in that area are from the U.S. I mean, almost all of Saniki udon is made using imported U.S. flour. And generally in the country. I mean, anytime you're eating udon in Japan, there's like at least a 50-50 chance you're eating USA grown flour. It's just a little detail they like to forget. So technically speaking, yeah, you could probably make pretty good udon in the U.S. Okay, not true, Dana. Believe what you like, but I mean, the majority of udon is made from flour. Japan, I don't know if you've been here recently, but it's not exactly filled with giant wheat fields. I don't know if you've driven around Japan lately, but you're not going to see a whole lot of huge wheat fields in this country. Certainly not enough to feed 130 million people. So almost all of their white flour is imported from the U.S. Or then maybe when you were here, you saw lots of wheat fields in Japan. I missed them somehow. Perhaps they grow them in basements in Shinjuku. Hokkaido, I mean, Hokkaido is all potatoes and cows. I'm sure. I mean, there is some like locally grown like wheat. That's why I said 80%, not 100%. But when you consider the amount of like bread, noodles, like the amount of wheat consumed in this country, like Hokkaido is not producing all of that. I mean, the majority of their wheat is imported from other countries, not just the U.S., other grain-producing nations. Japan's main domestic agriculture is directed towards growing rice. Double double, yeah. I feel a little bit self-conscious, but not so much after 3 years of doing it. Why do I live in Tokyo? Um, I've answered this question a million times, and I'm sure there's like a video in the archive that answers this fully. But essentially, my job is here, and I like my job. And Tokyo, compared to many other cities I've lived in, New York, LA, London, I think is a very nice place to live. It's got a great quality of life. It's a good city. So I would say because I like my job and it's a wonderful city with a great quality of life, that's why I live here. I mean, I miss certain aspects of LA, New York, and London. I mean, they're all great cities in their own way. Actually, there was just a ranking put out about a week ago, taking into aspect like all different, you know, parts of living in foreign country, like in a city, and they ranked the world's top 5 cities. And Japan, Tokyo came out. I think it was number 3 or number 4. Like it was number 1 was New York, 2 was London, I believe 3 was Paris, 4th was Japan, and 5th I think was oh crap, where was 5th? Rome? No, it was Germany or Italy or someplace like that. Berlin, perhaps. I don't remember what number 5 was, but New York, London, Tokyo, Paris, or New York, London, Paris, Tokyo. I can't remember the order. And they're all good cities. But they're like at that level because they all have great art scenes. They all have great culture, mass transportation. Uh, Tokyo, I mean, has certain things that are better. So, for example, Tokyo is a much cleaner city than other cities, perhaps. Also, like price of food, price of transportation, rent. Like this, the ratings like looked at all different things. Safety, but Tokyo came in around third or fourth, actually behind uh, my home state, the home city of New York. Um, so I don't know. Supporting that listing, I'm in the wrong place, but personally, I think Tokyo is a better city. Yeah, 11 cars I do. I miss sandwiches. This is a pretty poor. I mean, it's not bad. This is a pretty poor attempt at a sandwich. Yeah, but LA has great weather, very friendly, laid-back people, great food scene. Yeah. No, actually, when I lived in LA, I got used to it. Um, but like when I first got there, I fucking hated driving. I taking the 405. I used to drive. I lived in Culver City, and I worked in the Valley, and so I'd be riding up and down the 405 every day, and that just sucked. That just sucked. And then after I moved here, like after about a month of living here, I was like, wow, this is so nice not having to sit for 3 hours every day in my car, listen to the Phil Henry show. The only thing that kept me sane. Yeah, deli meats. Say goodbye to deli meats. I want to come live in Tokyo. Deli meats will be a thing of your past. I mean, there is a train in LA, but I mean, I've heard about it. I think maybe once I've seen an exit, but I don't know anybody who's ever ridden on it. There's a Subway sandwiches. I mean, but It's not, and like department stores, of course, sell like cut roasted meats. You're gonna be paying a shitload for it. And when in Rome, as they say. I mean, if you're living in Japan, you know, you got to kind of accept the fact that you're not gonna be getting the greatest. There is a Quiznos actually. There's one Quiznos, one shop that I'm aware of in Ginza. I don't know how well they're doing though. Actually, the Subway here occasionally has some original Japanese things. Good. Yeah, there's pretty much only like horrible bacon. Bacon here, I'm not happy about. Definitely not happy about the bacon situation in Japan right now. But hey, that's life. It's a phone call. Hold on a second. Work. It's only 12 and my battery is already half dead on my phone. It's ridiculous. もしもし、ケビンでございます。電話しましたか？まだしましょう。はい。I mean, the iPhone is both a curse and a blessing because it's made like organizing my working life so much easier. I'm so much more organized than I used to be. So I have like my all my calendar, all my work calendar stuff is on it, and all of my emails come directly to this phone. But it also means that sorry, I gotta. Hey, Mish Mish. Hey, 大丈夫。はい。うん。うん。Mm-hmm. What? These stuff. Um, but these の方がいい。Likeね、なんか、完璧だったらやっぱり these の方がいいんだけど、なんとなく、なんか、その二つは一緒だったら、あんまり問題ないかもしれないよね。Like、それは一緒に切るでしょ？そう、そしたら、一つに考えたら、これは全部一緒で、これを切ってください。だ、だったら、大丈夫です。でも本当に微妙だけど、間違えていない。微妙、微妙。うん、でもそんなにおかしくないと思う。子供誰のセルフ？ああ、うん。いや、ちょっと、でも、自然で誰か言うかもしれないね。ネイティブスピーカーが言ったらはおかしくないかな。うん、そう思う。そう、一緒。うん。Okay. All right. And I'll send the files over as soon as I can. All right. All right. Bye. But as I was saying, it's both the bane and blessing. because like now I get all these emails like from work, like literally 24/7. And what I have to start doing, I can't do it. I'm just too like addicted. I have to like, for example, like 7 o'clock Friday night, just turn the fucking thing off. Just turn it off. And that's I think the secret to happiness in this modern age is that at some point you just got to unplug like your computer, turn off your Keitai, and like live a normal human life. Because as bad as I was, I think at my peak of video game playing in like junior high school, as pasty and like basement mildew corroded as I had gotten, I think I still went outside and did more stuff when I was like a junior high school student playing video games than I do now, like like for work. So I spend so much time with the one hand attached to a phone or my fingers attached to a keyboard, and it's really not healthy. I mean, I even use my phone as an alarm in the morning to wake up. So literally, it's like it's with me 24 hours a day. I get like those scary like phantom rings, like where you feel your leg vibrate, and then you go to reach for it, thinking it's your phone, and you realize it's just your leg, and that you're slowly going insane. That's a scary moment when you have those. I know it's really frightening. I feel like an amputee who can still feel their leg. Yeah, I'm user 25. Turn it off or leave it in a different room. You know. Actually, I haven't really. I saw briefly in the newspaper about the revision of the Kanji list. Very, very briefly. I saw like the headline. But I haven't really read about it, or I'm not really entirely sure how they're revising it, so I don't have any opinion on that yet. Oh no, no, the web browsing on the iPhone is awesome because it's gotten through so many meetings by just like web surfing with my iPhone underneath the table. It's wonderful. Or like I have ended so many stupid barroom arguments uh, by just like Wikipediaing like what it is. Like no, Debbie Gibson never appeared in Playboy. She did. I swear she did. Look, I'm telling you, Debbie Gibson never. Like and you're having this stupid argument, right? And then somebody says, "Oh, what's Wikipedia?" And it's like, "Oh, yeah, Debbie Gibson did appear in Playboy, 1995." And it kills the argument. But the problem with that is, I don't know what else to talk about with my friends other than arguing about idiotic points like that. Like that's all me and my friends do is argue about retarded little things like that. But now that like you can just check on your phone and find out the answer, we have nothing to talk about. We just sit in silence. Wikipedia and the iPhone has killed conversation. Find a hobby. I never have my ringtone on. I never ever ever have it on. Like from the day I bought it, I put it on manner mode, and I've left it that way since. Well, for me, Monmei, usually my friends are like we're sitting at a yakitori shop, and we're arguing about the truth of some point or something somebody has said. But like the argument can continue because nobody can prove they're right or wrong. But now you can very easily prove you're right or wrong. So like all the asinine debates I used to have with my friends are over. That's what skirts. Tell you about the weather's what I do with my Japanese friends. I remember I was taking a script writing class in university, and the professor gave us this project to go to a public place and eavesdrop on some people talking and write down verbatim everything they say, like their conversation, copy down what they're saying in their conversation, and then compare that to like the dialogue you write for people in like movies or TV shows. The truth is, actual conversations, like in written form, like if you actually look at what people say, all people are retarded, and the way people talk is the most inefficient, retarded, you know, way possible. But like dialogue on TV is completely artificial in that, not a single word is wasted in terms of communicating meaning. But it was just so hilarious because he was absolutely right. It's like when you actually write down and look at what like people are saying, like at neighboring people in a coffee shop, it's so retarded. And actually, I did it. I went to an art museum and I was following these people around, writing down what they were saying. And this guard came over and he's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just making notes, just making notes." I got thrown out of the art museum. Or at least I had to put the notepad away, so I wasn't allowed to take notes inside the museum anymore. It is kind of creepy, to be fair. I guess I could have been more discreet, but it's kind of hard when you're doing. Yeah, exactly, Soundwave. Yeah. So Luke, I'm like your father. So yeah, you know, that's exactly what like Star Wars would be like if it was written the way people actually talk. But thank God, like in movies, nobody talks the way people actually talk. This was in New York. And the point he made, which is really good, like if you wrote a scene about like 20 somethings at a party, and you actually use like the real verbatim dialogue from 20 somethings, like people would think that like, wow, this writer is such a dick. Why does he make 20 somethings look so stupid? The reality is, you know, any 20 something in a movie is far more intelligent than the actual conversation 20 somethings have. That's why I know it's like watching The Hills. Thank God it's edited, you know. And The Hills is playing on Japanese late night TV. I seriously almost lost faith in this country when I saw that. I was like, seriously. But of course, it would be popular here. Yeah, yeah. It broadcasts at like 4 a.m. on Japanese TV. No idea why. It shouldn't broadcast on any TV ever, ever, anywhere. The worst was actually there was a big kind of argument within the TV company I work for, NHK, because we're a national broadcaster, and we've been airing Desperate Housewives like for the last year or so. But like there was a lot of people who work inside the company who were like really pissed off. We're like, seriously? We're rebroadcasting Desperate Housewives? Is that what we've become? You know, because people want to see it. I mean, like customers out there, like a lot of people were really excited to know that it was being broadcast. But like a lot of people who work for the company were like, "You got to be fucking kidding me! I can't believe we're broadcasting this trash." But NHK has been broadcasting Desperate Housewives. I don't know. Actually, I haven't seen enough of it to really judge it. Um, so, uh, I mean, if I've seen a couple episodes, I could truly lambast it. But I'll be fair. I don't actually know if it's good or bad. I just assume it's bad. They almost it depends. Um, it depends. Like for the most part, people here prefer subtitles. Unlike in the states, I think subtitles are average are generally what they have. They generally have subtitles here. And if you have a newer TV, usually there's a button you can hit to switch back and forth between the dubbed version and the original English version. So there's like two channels. Like the same thing in the States. There's usually like a Spanish, audio track broadcast simultaneously with the English audio track. It's the same, but here it's Japanese. And the second language broadcast simultaneously is English. So yeah, exactly. SAP, where the hell it is. So for the most part, it's subtitled, but like broadcast TV at like normal times, for the most part, it's dubbed. If you go to the video store, video rental places are largely subtitled. Well, I mean, it's got everything on the DVD, but I think people generally like subtitles more. Most of my Japanese friends all say they watch with subtitles. The only like absolute exception would be animations, like for example, Shrek or something like that. Is obviously just redubbed with a Japanese actor. But still, they have like Carmen Diaz come to the opening in Tokyo. I'm not really sure why, because like technically she would have no connection to the movie once her audio is taken out. I think they just like having her around at openings because she helps sell the movie. But I remember watching that. It was I think it was Shrek. It was Cameron Diaz did the voice of the princess or whatever, and who was it? What's her name? She's got divorced recently. Uh, I remember some Japanese woman did it, but they had both of them standing side by side at the Japanese opening, uh, and they're just like, why? Why is Cameron Diaz here? She's not actually Fiona. She's not a cartoon. She's a human being. So once her audio is taken out, she has no connection to this movie whatsoever. Oh, I know. God, the Full House in Japanese is hilarious. The weirdest thing I ever saw in my life, though, I was in Paris, and I was staying at this hotel. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching some German television channel, and they had Full House on, the show Full House in German, and it was on at like 2, 3 in the morning. But all the commercials were like for phone sex, like German phone sex commercials. And it's like, who is watching Full House in German at 3 a.m. and making phone sex calls? Blah. My God, Germany. Seriously, people. That was bizarre. I have to. I hope it's a coincidence. Home Improvement's never been on. Oh, good movie. It's weird. That certain shows get bought up, certain shows don't. The most successful, as far I think it still is, the most successful um, show in terms of foreign broadcast rights, the most like money ever made from a show on foreign broadcast rights was. You might be able to guess what show. I'm pretty sure it still holds the record for the most foreign broadcast rights, unless Friends has overtaken it, but I don't think it has. Anyone want to take a guess? What show? It's not a recent show, but the last time I heard, they still had the record for the most overseas broadcast. Baywatch. Baywatch is the same in any language. Baywatch is the most. It's made the most money overseas. They love it in South America, apparently. Which is literally any nation they get Baywatch. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think you even need audio to watch that show. And the storylines, I mean, the storylines are incredibly simple, so that's another reason why it translates easily. There was no deep metaphysical points being made in that show. Bacon salt? I'm guessing it's bacon flavored salt. I've never tried it. I know, talking about Baywatch crashed my computer. No, no, I don't. But that sounds awesome. Bacon flavored salt is a good idea. Almost as good as bacon A's. Actually, I'm very excited and a little bit sad. I have 2 episodes left of season 4 of Battlestar Galactica to watch when I get home tonight, and that's it. And then I'm done with Battlestar Galactica. I watched them too fast too. I went through them really quickly. But damn, that was a good show. I can't believe it's over in 4 seasons. Nobody say anything. I've still got 2 episodes left to go, but I have no idea how they can end this happily with two. Yeah, and I heard about Caprica. That could be cool, but yeah, that's true. I think Star Trek. Actually, I'm not really big into science fiction. I don't like any other science fiction. I don't like Star Trek. I don't like really any of that genre. But I think Battlestar Galactica was light on the science fiction and heavy on the drama and philosophy, which I enjoyed. I still have House, but now I've seen all the back episodes of House. I'm stuck waiting for new episodes to come out. Fucking sucks. I hate sitting around waiting each week for a new episode to come out. Generation Kill. Okay. Yeah, Lost is coming back for its final season in spring. Ah, Farscape. Yeah. I'm also watching right now on my favorites on my torrent list are Hung, Weeds, Mad Men, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, No Reservations, Anthony Bourdain, uh, Fringe, and Lost. That's it. No, I get them off of the internet. Nah, I mean they're all broadcast shows, so I mean it's not like I would. Well, okay, Hung and Weeds is HBO and Cinemax, so technically, but I mean I have no guilt about torrenting broadcast television. Weeds is pretty good. It's all right. It's not great, but I liked it. And Hung is basically Weeds 2.0. I use Views as well. I watched the first season of Californication. It was good, but it just got a little bit annoying after a while. I was like, yeah, I get it. You're having sex a lot. Good for you. Yeah, I can't like Hulu. You used to be able to use Hulu with a VPN, but now they've blocked Sunspot Shield. I haven't found a new program to try and watch Hulu with yet. You know. If Hulu charged, I would actually consider paying for it. But because I'm in Japan, it's a whole different copyright issue. So like, it'll be years before I can watch American TV on Hulu. Probably never. Exactly. I mean, like Staya, for example, there's a huge market here in renting DVDs of American dramas. It's ridiculous, but like, one DVD of like Heroes with 2 episodes on it is like $4 to rent from the video store. That's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, you can rent most like American TV dramas at video stores here, like I mean popular ones, about a year after they came out. So if you want to watch a TV show a year later and pay, you know, $2 per episode, you can walk yourself down to the video store and do that. I do it for one show and one show only, Heroes. For some reason, I don't know how I got into it, but I don't torrent Heroes. I always go to the DVD to get that one. But everything else I just torrent. I think by paying for at least one show, it makes you feel less guilty. And actually, my TV now has like an internet connection, and so I can. This is fucking ridiculous. I can stream like on demand movies and video from Skya, the video store, using my membership card and a credit card to pay for it. So I can actually stream anything I want to watch onto my TV. So I don't even have to go to the video shop. But I watched a movie last week on it. It was 500 yen for a movie, um, which is like I'm thinking. I think that's way too much. Way too much. If anything, it should be cheaper than going to the store and getting the DVD. How it became more expensive than actually going to get the DVD, I don't know. I don't know how that worked out. If anything, it should be cheaper. But it's actually more expensive than going to the store and getting the DVD itself. Um, yeah, or free torrent. I watched an old movie called Being There with Peter Sellers that last Saturday. Great movie. If you've not seen it. Um, but I paid $5 to watch it. But I had the added benefit of like not having to like get up from my couch to rent it. I could just do it from my remote control. That was cool, but that's way too much money. I'm not gonna be doing that often. The movie was Being There, Peter Sellers. Excellent movie. I highly recommend it. Somebody asked me how big my TV was last week. I forget. I don't know. I used to be able to. I used to know inches, and then I started learning metric since I was like living here, and now I don't know either of them. I'm just confused all the time. I never know what temperature it is, or how tall I am, or how much things weigh. It's just because I don't really understand the metric system anymore, and I've forgotten how to use like my old measurement systems from the West. I think I remember the number 52. It's big. Um, but I don't know. But I don't know what 52 what though. I'm not even sure what that number means. Or was it 50? I don't know. I don't know. Actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't 52. It's like 40, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing now. I'm just saying numbers. But I think inches or centimeters or like what unit of measurement are we talking about? But I'm not sure why. I think it said like 40 or 42 on the TV when I bought it. But I don't understand why they would use inches. They don't use that measurement for anything else in this country. No idea why in the name of God they would use that. So it must be centimeters, but there's no way it's 42 centimeters. That'd be like wicked huge, wicked small. I think it was 42 then. I think that's what it is. That sounds right. Yeah, you're confusing me. My brain is not meant to handle these things. Yeah, I'm confused by all these numbers. No, I don't have any video game system except for that little piece of crap I bought in my Akihabara video. It's a pretty big TV. I mean, it takes up like almost like one side of my apartment, but it's a house, I mean. But so it's pretty big. It's the biggest TV I've ever had. I was, and I'm still debating the projector. But the thing is, now I don't even know where it was, where it would be I would project. You know, and the TV is now big enough that I don't feel it. And I'm using the projector screen as a window shade above my bed. Like next to the window next to my bed has now that projector screen as a window shade. So I don't know. The projector idea is kind of gone with the wind. The thing is, what I could do is like I've thought about vaguely, like running the wire up to my bedroom, and then projecting it on like that on the window basically. You know, TV was not bad. It was like oh god, how much was it? Like, it was like 1,400 something like that, 1,500. It's the first TV I've ever bought actually in my life. First time I ever bought a TV. Every other TV I've ever had was basically given to me by someone who was throwing theirs away. Lokomote. The only Japanese tongue twister I know is Namagomi, Namagome, Namatamago. I don't know. I don't remember what it is. Yeah. So yes, it has. Yeah. What was funny though is actually um, the TV I bought. I remember when I was looking. I bought it without much price comparison. I just went in and said like, "What's the best TV?" He's like, "This one." I'm like, "Okay, I'll have that one." I'm not a very good shopper. Anyway, he played the different TVs, and actually, one of the TVs that was smaller was actually more expensive, or about the same price as the bigger one. So I think it's just like the size I got is the one they made the most number of. Just had like a shit ton of them. So it's almost as much to do with like I think how many of the unit they produce rather than simply just size. And also, there's a lot of bells and whistles on some of the TVs like that. I really don't need like built-in options and whatnot. Like for example, like the internet connection, the internet interface, which I use now essentially for downloading overpriced movies from fucking Sataya. Amamugi namagomi namatamago. Nice. It streams in HD or regular, and there's a price difference depending on what you stream it in. Um, Perhaps you go service anyway. Like personally, the word HD, high definition, has become meaningless because it's bandied about like endlessly. Like the camera I have is an HD cam. I have no idea what the fuck they think makes it an HD cam, other than the fact that it has the letters HD printed on it. But it's like the meaning, the word actually has. It's like a word for sales. It's a sales word, uh, completely irregardless to actual specifications anymore. And to be honest, like I don't really care. I've never really been such a big freak about video quality. I'm more worried about is the content interesting than like clarity of the picture. That's like people used to bitch about how shitty the video on YouTube was. I mean, the video on YouTube quality has gotten so much better than 3 years ago. You know, it goes up every year. Like the streaming, all that stuff gets so much better. Like I remember when Stickum first came out. It was the first kind of like service, kind of like this website I'd ever seen, and it was just horrendous. Everything was lagging. It was painful to do anything. But now it's like every year it gets better and better and better. You know, but everyone always bitches. Why isn't it better? I've never seen a Sbarro. I don't think there's a Sbarro pizza in Japan. Actually, I'm sure there's not. I don't think there's even one at the military bases. My vids don't look like anything to stay because they don't exist. I totally gotta edit this video tonight. I'm really pissed off at myself for being on this extended break. But, life happens. Yeah, no, it's the same one that's been sitting on my in my editing software since August. The Samba Carnival, Brazilian festival. Um, just haven't gotten around to editing it. Shit computer. Oh well. Sorry, the internet is cutting out every now and then for some unknown reason. Yes, I am. I'm in the basement floor of the Ikebukuro train station. Cantenna. I'll have to check that out. Actually, I'm gonna go run and get a coffee. Be back. I'm back. Jesse James, I would not laugh if it just started walking off. Why is that? That's really weird that whenever I leave, I am aware that I think if Kenji could edit video, my channel would be more popular. And if I were not in any of my videos, it'd probably be. Because really, I mean, you want to see Tokyo, not me. I mean, I try to put the emphasis on the Tokyo, not the Cooney, as much as possible. Dennis, I don't have cable, Edogawa. That's what torrenting is for. It's been a while, Northhawk. It's been a while. Actually, hopefully tonight, I finally have like a night off. So tonight I'm free. So I'm gonna go home after work around 7 and edit. My God, Dennis, you just getting back from the pub, or are you getting up to go to work? And if so, do you work at like a ramen shop? No, no, I've not quit NHJ. Um, Currently, like I'm still doing all the work I've been doing before. I'm contemplating taking a little bit of a sabbatical from work, so I have more time to like do shit like YouTube videos and other stuff. That's true. Eating crazy stuff never loses. Yeah, sabbatical doesn't equal no money, but I don't know. Right now, I want to more than money. I'm interested in doing work. I'm interested in. I have partner status on YouTube, and I make about $50 a month. Um, Precisely because I use copyrighted music. So I get like almost none of my videos are actually have advertisements on them. Most of my videos have no advertisements. I use copyrighted music, and I feel uh, like the videos. I'd rather have better videos and like miss out on the nominal amount of money. But I wouldn't rake in the dough. I mean, I have nowhere near the numbers you need to rake in the dough, quote unquote. I mean, I'd have to have 4 or 5 times the number of viewers I have now for it to begin to even make sense. I did. I tried for a while. I used GarageBand on a couple videos and composed my own music in GarageBand. And I've used like Creative Commons stuff here and there. But for me, I mean, I like sharing the music because the music I use it, and I think everybody would agree with this. It's pretty esoteric. It's not like stuff I think most people know. So if anything, I feel like I'm very slyly introducing people to the music I like, as well as Tokyo. You know. Yeah, no, Silent Mood, absolutely. Like Maggie Bond is actually making enough to live on, probably, or close to it. You know. Uh, but she has again like 4 times the viewers I do, and she has such engaging content. It's no wonder. I mean, you should do it. There's a lot of benefits to being because I basically became a partner for the side benefits of it. Like there's stuff you can do with your account that you couldn't do otherwise. But the money thing, like I'm not looking to YouTube to earn a living. I have a job. I'm chill. Yeah, I don't know. She's doing what she wants to do. I try not to judge other YouTubers. Everybody's doing what they're doing. I went out to the Metropolis magazine Halloween party. I write for the magazine, so A, I get in free, and B, it's kind of like it's like the one time of year I actually meet the other people who work for the magazine. Because generally speaking, I just send stuff in by email, and I rarely ever go to the office. So it's a good chance to like stop in and chat with the editor and stuff like that. It was a pretty cool party. Uh, Lots of scantily clad young Asian women. It was solid. But I don't think I'm doing anything else for Christmas. I mean for Halloween. I don't. I have basically no other plans. I don't think that necessarily anybody likes Maggie Ball. Um, it's a car wreck, and people watch. I mean, I'll give you the perfect example is that award we had last year, the 2008 YouTuber Awards, which I won. My video asking people to vote got like 25,000 views. I got about 25,000 views on my video. Maggie Vong's video asking people to vote got over 1 million views. It was seen over 1 million times, but I beat her in the vote, like according to the staff of YouTube, by the power of five. I had more votes than her to the power of five. Because horny pedos, like, once they're done rubbing one out, apparently don't have the energy left over to go and vote for you on a contest page. So it's the interesting thing about the internet. I mean, it's not solely a matter of numbers, like in a whole, like, it is for like advertisement revenue. If you want to live on advertising, yeah, then it is about numbers. But it's also about, you know, who's watching and to what extent are they actually watching, or were they just emailed this like, oh, you got to check out this crazy weird thing, you know? Favorite video that I've done? It's hard. Maybe the Skiji video, probably up there. Yeah, Anasol, I don't know. I mean, I've thought about that a lot. I mean, how important is quality, or is more important like brevity and frequency? I don't know. I don't know. Sugiji. Uh, yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of people. I love Happy Slip. Comedian Channel's good. Um, both of them attractive Asian women. That's purely coincidence. Uh, Daisy Tree. There's a number of people I actually really enjoy. Wow, Trinidad and Tobago. That would be a nice place to be right now, as long as the weather's good. Actually, Dennis, it just opened. I think I showed you guys this last time. Hold on a second. They've just opened a Krispy Kreme, literally around the corner from where I'm sitting. But the line is almost non-existent. I mean, for Krispy Kreme levels. Let's see how they're doing. Uh-oh. There's no posted waiting time. So there's like maybe a 5-10 minute wait, 5 minutes at most wait for donuts. Whereas the one in Shinjuku for some reason still has like a half-hour wait usually. No idea. No idea why. Ugh. I'm not in a mall. I'm in a train station. It is like a mall, except that there's trains in it. Actually, even better than that, you'll love this. At the at the party, at the Metropolis Magazine Halloween party, they were giving out free Krispy Kreme donuts, and I swiped a Krispy Kreme hat. Nice. Stellar, huh? Yoink. be here till 3. Loving Colors if you want to stop by. If you're in the hood. This by the way is my new favorite thing. I love these things. Supaiman. It's a dried plum. It's as sour as all hell, and it looks like a little rabbit turd. It essentially looks like a little dried up moose turd, but it's actually a dried plum and incredibly sour. It's my new favorite, very addictive snack. It's like a Sour Patch Kid, but all natural. Awesome stuff. But the thing is, like, definitely when I first got here, I avoided packaging like this and like things in like plastic bags that look like little shriveled squirrel testicles. I avoid it for the most part. But I've learned that actually a lot of these things are good. I mean, there's a reason. Well, I mean, this company's got a. This is the same packaging they've been using since 1952. I'm sure. You know, this is probably their equivalent to like Necco wafers, or I don't know, some really lame candy that you get for like 50 cents at the checkout at the supermarket. It says Supai Man, meaning sour man. It's the sour superhero. They have like a little explanation. Um, you combine the umeshu with this guy, and he becomes Supraiman. He's just sour. I think that's his only super quality, being sour. The other thing is, after you like gnaw what little flesh is off the stone in the middle, you go after like a little nasty pit. Yeah. So I've been building up a little collection of these on like my pockets and stuff like that. It's really awful. I get home and I'm like checking my pants to put them in the washing machine. I find like a nasty little dried up ume seed. I'll try and plant one of them. Yeah, he's just pissed off 24/7. That's his main superpower. But seriously, I mean, there's so many things that like just based on the packaging, I'm like that has got to suck. There's no way that can be good, but they're shockingly good. I never would have imagined at one point in my life I'd be eating these regularly. Michael Case, not really, no. Not a big fan of Michael Jackson. Anyway, double double. Every now and then, somebody spots me, says hello. We have an awkward 5 or 10 minute conversation in the street about the internet, and I often get like emails. And this is the creepiest thing, which I actually hate. I get these emails from people saying like, I saw you in Shinjuku on Saturday. Like, okay, why didn't you say hello or something? I've showed my gaijin card about 8 times in 8 years, I'd say. I get it about once a year. It really depends on how you look physically and what neighborhoods you hang out at, what times of day. Um, but I've been stopped and searched by the police on the street about 8 times, about once a year. Yeah, like a pat down, and then they go through your bag. No full cavity with rubber glove, but actually recently, this is a big kind of, it's a new sort of debate, and it's a big, hullabaloo, just starting to break out about it. But recently, the police have been doing on-the-spot urine checks on foreigners coming out of clubs and bars in Roppongi, which a lot of people feel kind of violates, you know, right to privacy issues and things like that. It's pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty beyond, you know, searching somebody is one thing, but when you're taking body fluid samples on the street, that's like, that's a bit much, in my opinion. I mean, most people I talk to agree that it's ridiculous. I mean, even Japanese people think it's kind of crazy. And of course, it's not specifically aimed at foreigners, but it's specifically aimed at foreigners. There's been like a couple high-profile drug cases recently, and of course, like somehow foreigners were involved in the distribution of that. So the police are now making a meaningless crackdown to show that they're doing something. Well, German drug, I mean, it's a joke, but I mean, it's actually one of the big fears is you can get false positives on a drug test fairly easily. Having eaten something or been in, like, even just like contact inhalation for like marijuana, like just being in a club where people are, smoking. It's conceivable. So I don't know. So it's a little bit scary, a little bit big brothery. I don't have a problem showing my ID. I get I have a problem though with getting searched, and I have a big problem with like giving, urine samples. That's just ridiculous. But I mean, if I really don't like it, I can move. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. But it's not that big an issue, and I haven't been stopped to ask for a urine sample personally, so I just heard about it. I have no idea how they actually take it, like how they get the sample. If they just like whip out a cup and they're like, "Here, let's stand in the corner behind that building." I have no idea. Yeah, it's basically like around 4 or 5 a.m. in Roppongi. People who look intoxicated or drugged in some way are being singled out. They're not doing it like midday on the streets in normal neighborhoods. They're doing it specifically in neighborhoods that are known for drug use. And a lot of times, what they do is they've done this a couple times recently. They've actually raided a club, and then they process everyone in the club out one by one, checking their ID and taking samples. and like searching their bags and everything, looking for narcotics. No, there's no last call. You can find a store selling alcohol 24/7 in Tokyo. There's always somewhere. No, they get your address or whatnot, your information, and then if it's clean, you never hear from them again. But if it's not, then you're going to have a visit from your local police officers. Dreamer, 612. My career aspirations are just to continue what I'm doing now indefinitely until I die. God knows I'll never be able to retire. But I would like to do maybe some more big projects that I have like full control over, rather than working for other TV companies. I'd like to make my own stuff, but paying for your own stuff is hard. I mean, if I had more artistic freedom, I think I'd be generally happier. But artistic freedom usually comes at the cost of a paycheck. Hard to get both. Yeah, I've been reading about like the alcohol tax increases in the UK. That's crazy. But yeah, in Japan, alcohol is a little bit bizarre in that prices are based on tax. Like the tax is based on what type of alcohol it is, and so beer, what's legally defined as beer, is a certain amount of like malt in the brewing process, and that's taxed like wicked high. So like a can of like Asahi Super Dry is going to cost like 230 yen. Uh, Next down is a thing called haposhu. Haposhu is basically the brewers just lowered the amount of malt in the beer underneath the legal definition of beer, so it was no longer technically beer. It was like a beer-like beverage, and as a result, they were no longer taxed as beer. So then, haposhu, which it's called, was about right now it's about it's 190 yen or so for a can, 145 yen for a small can, like 145 yen for a small can of fake beer. Um, and then after that, because the government then keeps changing the taxation to like readjust, they started making completely malt-free beer using some type of enzyme that comes from green peas, and it was now like imitation beer basically, but technically it's not beer. So it had like no taxes at all. And that's now called third category beer. It's the cheapest of all of them. Uh, but it's basically this like cat and mouse game between the brewers and the government, where the brewers create some new product that falls outside the legal definition of uh, beer or alcohol, the alcohol that's taxed, and then the government has to change the taxation laws to include that or introduce a new tax on that type of item. Uh, you know, it's a little bit ridiculous. I am a Cylon. Cheapest Vegas shithouse. My advice is, whenever you're traveling and you want to get drunk on a budget, look to the homeless. Look to the homeless, because trust me, they have crunched the numbers. They have done the paperwork. They have done the analysis in full. They know how to get from point A to point fucked up uh, the cheapest, most efficient way possible. So when I was in the UK, all the homeless people drank cider, which in the States we usually think of as like a woman's drink, but like all the homeless people I saw in London were drinking cider because it's the highest alcohol content and cheap. Uh, the Yeah, in Japan, I'm guessing it would be shochu, which is a kind of grain alcohol, uh, and it's very cheap. Like a bottle of shochu, like a big one bottle, you can get for like 600 yen, $6, and that'll fuck you up. That will fuck you up. But yeah, Iceland not a good place to be right now. Well, yeah, but I mean, like drinking like Bacardi 151 is it's like drinking hairspray or mouthwash for God's sakes. Uh, if you're drinking that, you've got some serious issues. I know that's why cider is, I guess, the drink of choice because it's a balance between an actual drink and alcohol. And recently they have this new thing called Too High Strong, where they've just like it's a grapefruit or lemon flavored juice drink. There's 8% alcohol. Uh, that thing's potent. I've had like kind of absinthe, not actual absinthe, but like a similar type of thing when I lived in the UK and when I was in France. Uh, yeah, it's like a hard lemonade basically sound. But I've never had like I don't think because I mean in most European countries, I think Czechoslovakia and a few other countries, uh, the few places where you can still actually get real wormwood drinks anymore. Well, if they lit it on fire, that's a shame. That's a waste of all that alcohol. But yeah, usually like traditionally, absinthe is drunk over a cube of sugar. Oh no, I don't have the time to drink anymore, sadly. What's the most false and the most true stereotype about Japan? Um, the most false stereotype of Japan is, I think, about their personalities, that they're quiet, reserved people. Um, they are at times, given the time and place, they are, but they are very unreserved in large amount of situations. When you introduce alcohol to the equation, Japanese people become fucking crazy, like insane. Uh, and the most true is maybe the crowding of Tokyo. It really defines so much of life here. It's you can't escape from it. It's all encompassing. Just the constant crowding. Akane, that was kind of an unnecessary kick, I'd have to say. I don't see anything that No Name Two said that's either racist or upsetting. So seriously, holster that bad boy, or I'm going to take away your kickability. Unless you read something that I don't see. Well, we don't kick people for being far fetched. We kick them for being like for spamming or being insanely racist. I mean, I give people a really wide berth on this channel, so yeah, I don't. That's impossible. He would be dead if he drank 3 liters of vodka, unless he doesn't know what a liter is. Yeah, hikikomori is a very common sort of, I don't know what you call it. It's not a subculture, but yeah, the word is in the public a lot. Clog, prostate cavity, are they outnumbered, like population-wise, compared to gaijin? Um, 2% of the population of Japan is foreign. Actually, less than 2%, I think. It's around 2% anyway. So 98% of this country is Japanese. So I'm not sure. Very hard to speak Japanese. Zed, Zaid, whatever it is. Yeah. The last I heard, 1 in 30 children have a parent who's a foreigner. I heard that recently, that number. Um, that's an important number because it's not necessarily the number of foreigners like overall that's important. It's who's having children, and a lot of the international couples I know tend to have more kids than locals. Not sure why. So yeah, we're gonna outbreed them eventually. Yeah, that's true. What Norseman said is very, very true. The birth rate in Tokyo is zero point 0.9, zero point 0.9 children for women. Uh, in the countryside, like nationally, the birth rate is 1.3. Um, to maintain your current population, you need like at least 2.1. 2.1 is just to maintain. But Tokyo is shrinking. Actually, Japan is shrinking in population. 1.3 nationally, zero point 0.9 in Tokyo. No wonder any song like about running a Mexican restaurant here. I mean, there's not a lot of Mexican food in Tokyo. It's not really popular, so I don't know. Uh, See, the layout of a keyboard in Japan is different, which is a pain in the ass because I put an English OS on my computer, but it has a Japanese uh, keyboard layout, so I have to remember like where things are. Like the what's written on the keys is somewhat meaningless. Kind of a pain in the ass. Fortunately, I can touch type, so as long as I don't look at the keyboard, I'm fine. Hawkeye, New Jersey, because Maggie Bond has far more subscribers than I do, quite simply. Riri 36 Fong, I don't understand why you were kicked out of the show either. Um, don't worry, you will not get kicked out again. My thoughts on David Alderweireld. Sorry, David, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's, I think he's a little bit over the top and overzealous. Uh, but I generally understand where he's coming from. I just think he's approaching the situation the wrong way. For those of you who don't know him, he's a civil rights activist in Japan. He's a foreign-born, but he's a citizen of Japan now, and he's constantly suing different entities in Japan for equal rights. But I don't know. I think he's kind of like the Al Sharpton of Japan. That's actually a very good comparison. It's like at heart, I get the point Al Sharpton's trying to make, but Jesus, seriously, guy. Yeah, Sam has a really good interview with him. He's a really nice guy. I met him a couple times. You know, he's very genuine, and but it's just I disagree on his tactics, and I think he overreacts sometimes. The Japanese only signs are almost non-existent. In 8 years, I have maybe once or twice experienced a Japanese only place. Uh, the only places you're gonna see like a Japanese only situation is if you go to like a blowjob bar or something like that. It's almost non-existent. Like you'd have to try and go into like a prostitution house to get someone to tell you no foreigners, or like a really small private club for like elderly Japanese men to drink at. You know, it's such a non-issue, and it's like watching that YouTube video is hilarious. It's hilarious because every single photo, it's like in front of a nomiya, which is like a really small little bar, like where you would never want to go into anyway, because it's full of just elderly Japanese people drinking and reminiscing about the war, or like sex industry places. And then this whole thing like, well, Japan doesn't like you. Bullshit. Bullshit. Like Japanese people bend over backwards to help out foreign tourists and foreign residents. The signs, but I'm saying double double. There are no signs. There are no signs. In 8 years, I have maybe seen one or two living in Tokyo. You never see them. I've been asked not to enter a bar once in my life, and I've been to thousands of bars in the city. And once, a customer said, "I don't want to drink with a foreigner in here," and so the bartender asked if I would leave. And I was like, "All right, I'll vote with my feet. I'll go to the bar down the street and give them my money." Once in 8 years. It's such non-issue. A lot of it's fucking irritating white people who move here, and finally they're oppressed. Finally, they're the oppressed ones, and so they get to like bitch about it, and it's some cathartic thing for them to go, "Oh, I'm so oppressed by the Asian man. He's keeping me down." The only thing that is like there are some legitimate things in terms of discrimination. The most obvious one is looking for an apartment. I've applied for a number of apartments, and the owner of the building has said no because I was a foreigner, like just straight out. Like the real estate agent called the owner and said, "Hey, I have a customer who wants to look at the apartment. Oh, by the way, he's a foreigner." Click. That happens often. And sometimes they'll say, "Okay, a foreigner, what country is he from?" And if you say like Namibia, click. But if you say America, they go, "Oh, okay. Americans are okay." You know. So that's the only thing. Like occasional like profiling by the police, and when you're moving, changing apartments, that's difficult. Also, getting a bank loan, things like that. All these are more difficult. But that's because you're like I'm a non-citizen. Obviously, getting a bank loan should be more difficult for me. You know. Well, Zadie, I wouldn't move here just for this low crime rate. Uh, well, but then I don't know. It's as good a reason as any. Yeah, exactly. Like if you're like a Pakistani or an Indian or something like that, the landowner might be thinking, "Oh my God, that apartment's gonna stink of curry when they move out." You know, which actually it's a not completely off basis. Also, the owner of the building is often worried if they'll be able to communicate with you. Like, so if you're a non-Japanese speaking foreigner, that could be a problem. But like if the owner understands that you're Japanese speaking, then maybe they'll have no problem with it. But again, it's the owner's building, so it's kind of up to them and whatever they decide. Also, that and it's true. Like I have house parties every now and then. No Japanese people have house parties ever. Like rarely, it's almost unheard of. But gaijin love having house parties. So that's like if you let a gaijin live there, undoubtedly there's going to be nights where it's really noisy and the neighbors are going to complain about noise and stuff like that. It's usually based in reality. A lot of the reasons, you know, stereotypes come from somewhere. I don't listen to Japanese music. See, I mean, I have to listen to it every now and then because it's played at me, like in stores and elevators. But generally, no. Synth, yes, I know Danny Chu quite well. Cloud plastic gravity, in part, yeah. I mean, there's quote unquote good countries and bad countries. I'm at a train station because in about how long? 20 minutes or so, I'm going to get on a train. I have to go to Shibuya and work. Sales are heavily in favor of J-pop. The majority of music sold in Japan is J-pop. It's a very interesting thing that like gaijin here tend to live in a bubble, especially in Tokyo. So like I think it's something like 6 or 7% of all alcohol sales in Japan are imported beers, like Heineken, Guinness, Budweiser. 7% of total sales of alcohol are foreign. But pretty much every bar I ever go to only sells foreign beers. Uh, and it's just like it's a lifestyle issue. Like I tend to go to places that are quote unquote hygiene friendly, where like places where foreigners tend to hang out, or they have food that foreigners would tend to like, or are in neighborhoods that foreigners tend to live and frequent. Uh, so I always thought that like half of alcohol sales must be foreign stuff, but no, 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 93% at least are domestic beer sales. Same thing with music. You know, it's the majority of music sales in Japan are domestic, not imported. I mean, as much as we like to think in America that our culture dominates the rest of the world, it does to an extent, but it's dwarfed compared to the size of the local market. Hawkeye, New Jersey, on the whole, no. I'd say 95% of Japanese people do not care about the war. In fact, a large percentage of them, if anything, are grateful to the U.S. And their anger is directed towards the Japanese government that got them into the war. Like their liberal peaceniks are kind of anti-establishmentarian in that they blame the military and the government for having unchecked power and getting into the war. And I've never met anybody like the one. I think I told this story online here before. It's one of my favorite stories. There's a little yakitori shop near where I used to live. I used to hang out there a lot and drink. Like the average age there was like 65 or 70. A lot of like taxi drivers and stuff like that. And the owner of the place is this little old drunk guy. And anyway, I was going to the train station one day. I was passing by this noodle shop, and on Sundays when he's closed, he goes to the noodle shop and hangs out and drinks. And he spots me outside, and he waves to me, "Come in, come in, come in, come in." And I'm like, "Oh fuck, all right." So I go into the noodle shop and I sit down with him, and we're chatting. And like basically, anytime I go to a shop, all you do is sit there and chat with them. But it's like noon on a Sunday, and he's already half in the bag, and he's like buying me like shochu and Chinese tea, long cha with shochu, which is basically like caffeine and alcohol all in one. So wonderful idea. And we get to talking, and he just comes out, and this is one of the most hilarious things I've ever heard in my time here. He comes out with this. He goes, "Kevin, I'll be honest. I hate America. I really hate America. Because since the war, after we lost, Japan has become too much like America." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Not really sure what to do with this information." He's like, "Why? What's changed since the war that, upsets you?" He's like, "I was in Ikebukuro Station last week, and I saw a couple kissing. Two Japanese people, and they were kissing and holding hands in the station. And I thought it was disgusting. This never would have happened 60 years ago." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I see your point. Oh God, the modernization." True story, true story. He was pissed off at America because he felt that Japanese people had come emotionally weak and hug needy like the Americans, and that like everybody now like men are no longer men and women are no longer women. You know, like the gender roles have become blurred, and now people hold hands in public. Whereas in the old days, when he was a kid, the woman would walk 3 feet behind, and you know, men ruled the country. Yeah, and that's always the strange thing. He loved me, but he hates America on the whole. Because also I speak Japanese. It's like as soon as you speak Japanese, anything goes out the window. I like at that same bar. I was there, and there was actually a husband and wife who are uyoku, and uyoku is like essentially the clan if I had to call them anything, they're like essentially like the clan, but in Japan. And like, I came in and they were like talking about me to each other and like making fun of me. And then I started talking to them and they realized I speak Japanese. And then they were like, talking to me normally. They didn't buy me a drink. They didn't get that far, but like they were. As soon as I spoke Japanese, they were incredibly friendly. And actually, we talked a little bit of politics, and about more than half of what he was talking about, I totally agreed with. Things like, any foreigner who comes to this country should be required to learn the language or leave. Uh, that Japan needs to stop uh, being America's dog, essentially. There's many, many things about it that, for me, were, fairly rational. Using it as foreigners. But yes, if you ever talk to a Japanese person about politics, the phrase "America's dog" will come up very quickly and often. They have this big complex that's part of their national psyche that they are basically America's pet, and that the prime minister has to do anything the current president says. And so, like their entire, like Canada is similar. Their entire like national identity is predicated upon the fact that they're not America. And for the Japanese, there's a little bit of like I think like Persians are very much this way as well. Like Iranians, Persians, they have a very very long history, and as a result, they're indignant about the fact that they're not a major power in the way that they feel they're entitled to be. Like there's a lot of Japanese who feel like, why are we getting instruction from a country that's only 200 years old, whose like cultural masterpiece is the hamburger. But it's largely old people. You're right. And actually, if you watch anything in the news recently about the U.S.-Japan alliance, it's at a very sticky point right now because Japan is kind of unilaterally redefining how the alliance is going to work from here on in. And the U.S. is kind of like, well, fuck it then. We're going to be friends with China. No one said that in the U.S. government, but it's a possibility that America will slowly move away from its long-term alliance with Japan uh, in other directions. I know. The new American ambassador is a little bit, he's a noob, basically. It was like a political appointment, like to a friend, rather than, and that was actually very insulting. Many Japanese people in government were insulted that someone so low profile was given the job of ambassador to Japan. That was kind of a little, that pissed off a lot of Japanese people. Right now, Akane, you can use those kick powers. Boston 617, 617. Yes, exactly. That is why you have such power. Yes. But do not, unless it's clearly, like, flagrantly obscene, don't kick anybody. Let's hope not, right. It's hilarious. Oh yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to get to North Korea. It's a whole can of worms. Yes, I am next to Tobu, not exactly under it. Actually, I'll be back in 1 second. All this stuff with gallons. Oh. Hopefully tonight, J3, if all goes according to plan, after I finish work around 7, I'm going home and editing. So by the time it's finished processing, probably sometime on Saturday, Tokyo time. All right, amuser. The one in my Harajuku video, Atlanta Nelson. Yeah, I mean, I go like once every 6 months or so. Actually, I was debating just now. I don't have any time now. I was gonna go to a cigar shop and buy a cigar and go inside. I used to sit outside at this cafe because I could only get the Wi-Fi signal outside. But with this new little doohickey, I think I could broadcast from the smoking section. Uh, Maybe another time. Right, right. No, you cannot get a job as a janitor here because you are not legally allowed to get a visa unless you're doing a job that a Japanese person cannot do. In short, Cooney will never be on J Mello, sadly. Did he say he was coming over? Did 11 Color say he was coming here? He just disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to him. Okay. We just heard from the chat, so who knows? He was here. Yeah, he was here earlier. But I'm only here for like another 15 minutes or so. I gotta get going to work soon. Never met Christmas Guy 2009. Nah, sorry. Yeah, Tokyo is disgustingly humid in summer. It's like a sauna. No Packer City, but I haven't yet. I haven't yet. Still trying to come up with a good name and a good logo. Osaka, I don't really know. I've never lived there, but I know Kansai. For what I've heard, Kansai gets colder in winter and hotter in summer. Like there's more of a range. Yeah, who knows if it's over or not? I mean, it's not over. I mean, it's like indicators, economic indicators, and numbers, or whatever, saying that like it might return to growth. But before any like person on anybody on the ground sees that in their bank account, it'll be a while. Definitely awesome productions. Tanya. Yeah, no, actually, the recession, I got barely affected at all by the recession. I was lucky, I suppose, but it never translated to any, real pain for me personally. I think it depends on like if you're in an industrial town or something like that, then it could have really fucked over your entire community. Uh, I mean, Tokyo kind of survives anything. It's such a there's so many different industries here, so many different things, and with the as I said, the declining birth rate, you know, unemployment here is not an issue. Like there's not enough people, if anything. Well, Alana Nelson, I don't want to up your destroy your dreams, but last year Japan allowed something like 12 refugees into the country, compared to America's like 6,000. Like literally, like Japan lets in about a dozen at most per year. Like don't even bother. It's nearly impossible to get refugee status in Japan. Yeah, I read the story Double Double, but I haven't heard any sentiment about it yet. If there's any sentiment, it would be in Korea, not in Japan. In Japan, people are like, "Oh, really? Huh, that's too bad." But I think in Korea, it would be more like fucking Japanese, so like them. The white guy looked at like a Mexican in Japan. No, I wouldn't say that. It's hard to it's hard to compare it to something in American terms. No, sadly, I always have to keep making this apology to myself every time I come on this freaking blog TV thing. I've never been anywhere else in Asia. I've only been to Japan, and I've been here a long time, and I've been everywhere in Japan, pretty much. But I haven't been out to parts of Asia yet. I do want to get out, like travel around at some point, but whenever I have money or time to go somewhere, I end up going home visit my family. Right, right. I'm not sure what you mean. Is it okay for a foreigner to stare? Well, Hawkeye, the problem is now there's so many seniors. It's like 1 in 5 are over the age of 60. It might be more. It might be like 1 in 4 soon. Like like it's a huge block of old people in this country. So it's really difficult. It's totally straining our, you know, financial resources. There'll be no retirement money for anybody 50 years from now. Like, uh, like I think by the year 2030 or so, it's going to be like 1 in every 3 person will be collecting Social Security. You know, and there's not enough young people, yeah, to make up for the old people. That's why, like, the country is actually fairly. I mean, as much as Japan can, is kind of opening up a bit because they realize they might need help from outside. But yeah, the graying of the population is a huge, huge issue in this country, along with other countries like Italy, Germany, some European countries. The U.S. is fine. The U.S. has like a 2.4 birth rate. That's why I'm not against the swine flu. I think if anything, we should be promoting it because essentially it kills old people. You know, and I think we should look at the swine flu as a possible, blessing. It might be able to rebalance our retirement debts. I really did not want to think about what Sam was doing in Hong Kong. That's how I sleep at night, not thinking about Sam. Hey, Bob. Well, if it kills kids, that's a bad thing. If it kills old people, all my grandparents are gone, so we got nothing to worry about. Holocaust cavity. There is one of everything in Japan. There's not a lot of Mexicans, but there are some. I have an embassy here. That sucks, mommy. This is true. What Norfolk has says too. We do have our own Statue of Liberty here. Also given to Japan by the French. The French apparently did not give only the U.S. the Statue of Liberty. It's so like them, but the Japanese one's much smaller. Double, double, yes, obviously. I've been here 8 years. I've dated pretty much every type of Asian there is. Edogawa, no. It's very difficult to work here without the proper legal paperwork. It's exactly not like the U.S. Double doubles depended on the person. Because I've dated a Chinese and Korean girl, and both of them we spoke in Japanese generally. Uh, Japanese women varies. I've dated girls that English was like incredibly fluent, and girls that had almost zero English ability. So it's person to person. It's entirely, or sometimes it's a mix of the two. You know, Packard 75. That's what people say. Most illegals in Japan are Chinese, but I don't know. Well, there's the most of any one group in Japan is Chinese. Well, Koreans actually. I think Koreans are the largest single group. So obviously there would be more statistically or proportionally represented in that group. I have to renew my visa this coming summer. I've got about 8 months or so left, or however much it is. July. I don't know. I can't do the math. But yeah, it's about 8 months. And I have to renew my visa, which hopefully will be extended for another 3 years. And one more year living here, I can apply for permanent residency, which I'll probably try to do in a year or so. Connie, that's a. Better hope that's a wrong number. No, I mean, I'm fine with residency. I don't want to become a citizen. That's different. I have no interest in becoming a Japanese citizen, but I would love to become a permanent resident. So, to become a citizen, you have to renounce your American citizenship currently. They're actually been discussing making dual citizenship available. Uh, but a resident, it's basically just you don't have to renew your visa anymore. Like you've been here to apply for permanent residency, you have to have lived here consecutively for 10 years. So continuously for 10 years. Uh, and then you can apply for it, and they might grant it to you. And all it means is you don't have to renew your visa the same way you do, but you can't vote. You're not, you know, a citizen. Maybe Chiki Kuriyama, whatever her name was, scrolled up. Chiaki. Chiaki. Yes. Hello, fellow Tokyoites. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have to renew my visa, that would be a nice kind of load off my mind. Yes. I can't vote, but I got a stimulus check. Because the stimulus has a different purpose than citizenship. The stimulus was to get money into the economy. I mean, I pay taxes. I pay taxes in the country, and that stimulus money is basically a tax rebate. You know, that money is not coming from some magical bank account. That money is coming out of the tax money that I already paid. So really, it's more of a getting my own money back from them rather than it is a handout. Face Wish is it's not a pain to renew your visa. It's not that hard. It's just it's a little bit scary because they could always say no. and it ends up costing about $100 in like fees by the end of it, and it takes about a day all told. In terms of like you have to go to the office at least twice, and it's located in the most inconvenient place in Tokyo. You have to sit around like waiting for them to process stuff. And it's just a pain in the ass. Yeah, what North Hawk is saying is essentially right, as far as I know, about the visa. Where would I go if they said no? I'd go back to the States, obviously. And it's a conceivable possibility that they'll say no. Because I'm a self-sponsored visa, um, yeah, it's conceivable. Not something I like to think about, but double double. I've never had to go through an appeals process though, so hopefully I'll never find out the answer to that question. But yeah, I mean, if I found out that they were going to reject it, I'd probably have a small amount of time in which to leave the country. In which case, I would seriously consider getting married fairly quickly. Yeah, but if you have the sponsored visa and if you've paid your taxes and done everything you're supposed to have done, you're not gonna get rejected. You know, it's I should be fine. But it's just like you never know until that stamp's in your passport, so it's always a little bit of uncertainty. No problem, Chiaki. Yeah. Basically orange water. You get a spouse visa, and I would rather not have a spouse visa because to think that my legal rights to live in this country depends on some woman, that's frightening. The women are crazy. Who's the hottest J girl currently? It's a hard question. I don't know. I don't keep up on the models and idols much. Good point, Danya. All women are crazy. Exactly. Because I think it would be very much that kind of situation. Like, hey, either you take out the garbage, or I deport your ass. Well, actually, even if you get a spouse visa, you can't get permanent residency. Permanent residency, again, you must have lived in the country for 10 consecutive years. That's the key. So, like, I could actually apply for citizenship now, and there's a reasonable chance I'd get it. But I can't apply for permanent residency. As bizarre as that is, I could become a citizen faster than I could become a permanent resident because it's set 10 years consecutive. I know a guy who left for like 6 months and lived back in Canada for a while and then came back. But when he left for 6 months, it restarts the clock from the second time he came back. So like the previous 3 years or 4 years he lived here don't count. No, there's no language requirement in citizenship right now. But that there's been talk of changing that. Yeah, I do have to get going soon. I'm gonna stay on like 4 more minutes, and I'm gonna jet. I would have to give up my American citizenship, which I am never going to do, which is why I'm not going to become a Japanese citizen. Clogged prostate cavity, no, but the Yakuza is more diversified than it used to be. There's far more smaller groups vying for control. It's less monolithic than it used to be. Now there's all sorts of different groups like the Chinese and other groups. So nah, I'm not gonna do this one. Train. Sorry, I gotta go. Yeah, Norsehawk, I kind of agree with that. I think he uses it as a kind of a tactic. Sorry, guys, I'm not taking with you on the train. Maybe someday, but I'm not feeling that mentally ill today. Any last questions or anything? Any which way, any which way, stop. Thanks for stopping by and chatting. I will hopefully have my new video up this weekend. As I said, well, I'll get to edit it tonight, and then processing time it should be up Saturday or Sunday. So check it out if you get a chance. Cool to see everybody, and I'll see you around next Friday, unless you see a message here saying that I'm not going to be here, but I should be here next Friday, hopefully with a guest. I tried this time, but guest couldn't make it. Oh well. All right, folks. Good talking to you. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.